COVID. They know that COVID is a dangerous disease, virus to the elders, but they send an elder to prison for not appearing in Concord. There's that white man who never appeared. Ghostbecker. He never appeared. He refused. In this commission, he refused. Ghostbecker is free, roaming around the streets, very free. But when Zuma says, I cannot appear because there is a man who is a player and a referee in the matter, I need someone else, he puts him into prison. So then you blame people when they ban the country. You are the one who is responsible for banning the country, not you, my sister. I'm saying the one, through you, I'm saying the Chief Justice, everyone in the Concord, they are responsible for bending this country into ashes. They've raped democracy. They've abused democracy for their narrow, selfish interest of egos and fighting against each other. And what is hurting my sister, when two elephants fight, the grass suffers the most.
Don't you think that's the grass that's suffering the most then? Because the people are in the ground, they're the ones that are going to feel the impact of this.
They're already feeling the impact. We are abused as the nation. This thing is no longer a question of tribal. This thing is no longer a question of KwaZulu. I'm sure you have seen what is happening in Wamaimai. We were marching with Xhosa people. We were marching with Tswana people, saying Musholozi must be free. What is happening is an injustice. Now people are communicating their pain of the old man being arrested. The only noble thing here is to set President Zuma free. Whether through a pardon, these people were able to make quick laws to arrest Zuma. They can make quick laws to set him free.
And if he's not free?
I can't. The people must continue what they are doing. Abantu abaqhubeke benze lokho abakwenzayo ukuthi batshengise imizwa yabo. Abaqhubeke abantu batshengise ukukhala kwabo. They must continue to do what they are doing. And I'm saying tomorrow we know. Tomorrow they are going to Concord. We know what the outcomes of the Concord. I can tell you now, you must play this after the judgment of Concord. You will see. President Zuma is going to lose that case. Dalimpov is going to lose that case because the Concord has taken a clear position against President Zuma. So when the Concord is no longer representing the plight of the people, it has taken the one side over the other. The people must fight for themselves. What cannot be won on the table must be won on the street. So the people must continue. I'm not inciting violence. I'm a peace-loving. I'm the man of peace and the architecture of justice. He who's against me is against peace itself. I'm the man of peace. I am saying, young, old, if President Zuma, they don't set him free, they must intensify. All peace-loving people, when President Zuma is not free, they must intensify. What cannot be won on the table can only be won on the street. Wonke umuntu emahostela emateksini kamashu abantu abaphume umsholozi uboshiwe umuntu omdala uboshiwe uboshwa nje umsholozi silambile asinayo imisebenzi thina emahostela asinayo imisebenzi Alexander kamasha abantu balambile o 350 bavaliwe muye emanyuvesi abantu abafuna ukufunda emanyuvesi abanye bafundile baneziqu abasebenzi imfundo iyabiza kuleli izwe leli kodwa imali ikhona yazi imali idloba abamhlophe nabantu abamnyama abathiza sebehamba nabamhlophe thina nje phansi siphila ngendlala nje kodwa bakwazi ukubopha umuntu omdala so vela into esizoyiluza siluze konke empilweni abakhipha umuntu omdala basinikeza amalungelo ethu nathi sifuna ukuphila sifuna nathi kuba nophahla ngaphezulu kwethu sifuna nathi kuba nokudla etafuleni sifuna nathi kuba nemoto esokwazi sigibele thina nemndeni yethu bonga
Nkosazana cishe sahamba ngephutha
ngicela ungistreamela lapho iyastreama lapho ikulayo page lethu
Sengithi ngiyawona ngitsenshaya lezi endume ngazo
ngiyona nabe interview kongisana go for it.
All right. Please may I have your name and your surname and what position you hold?
Semkhwanazi, national spokesperson weComeo.
umuzi wakwaKhumalo secretary general weComeo.
All right. In what capacity are you here as?
Thina simela abasebenzi baseNingizimu Afrika ikakhulukazi emboneni zombiwa phansi kodwa kokusondeza lapha ukwazi ukuthi kunento ebizwa ngesilungu kuthiwa cost push inflation okusho ukuthi uma kungathiwa izwe lishona phansi ngenxa yalokho kwenzakalayo eventually kuzoba nalento kuthiwa inflation yokukhula kwama prices azobe affecta lo msebenzi esimmele okusho ukuthi yonke lento eyenzakalayo indirectly or directly so eventually affects abasebenzi. That's why you are here.
So what would you like to say about what's happening?
One, we believe in a just law. We believe that Comrade Zuma and others, they fought for democracy, and in their definition of democracy, it is not what we are actually having. Right now we are having a title that is called a democracy and under a constitution that is governed by those who were oppressing us even before democracy and era of apartheid. So this is still an apartheid system in disguise, just delivered to us in a sophisticated manner. So what we are actually questioning is the lawfulness of the law, if the concord or the law in South Africa is actually just. Why are we questioning that? It is merely because we have now tangible evidence which has justified itself with the imprisonment of former President Jacob Zuma, that the law is a criminal, the law is not just, it is just a dead body that is given life by whosoever is sitting on the throne to decide the fate of whosoever in which way they want. So that is holistically an unjust law because it does not consider the interests of the majority, which are the people who engaged in the freedom struggle to actually have our country. Because when we actually fought against apartheid, we were fighting against the system, we were fighting against the unjust laws. We're not fighting against a certain individuals or certain race. So if the law is still prevailing and it's still unjust, meaning we have not won, because it's the law that will determine the fair freedom or justice that we fight for.
But President Jacob Zuma was asked to go to state capture. He refused to go. Isn't that fair law?
No, it's not. Maybe you have been wrongly spoon-fed to say he refused. Did you hear his side when he refused? What did he say? Was his side considered, or you considered the interest of who wanted him to come to a state capture? Why there were no balance of probabilities, either whatever is reasoning with not to go to a state capture could hold water? Why would Judge Zondo preside over the same case to decide the fate of former President Zuma to be qualified to go to the very same unjustified state capture? Why is it like that? Because that question meant to say we have been fed wrong to say he refused. We are not justifying what he actually did. To say he wrote, he stood for his right. We're not asking why Zondo continued to take the case to Concord, whereas Jacob Zuma was standing for his right. So the way in which you phrase your question justifies your perspective, and it's a wrong perspective that is sent across, and that's why it is like this today.
But now let's speak about the fact that you are here as the person that represents Abasebenza, right? We have Johannesburg currently that is on fire. We've seen truck drivers that have lost their trucks, people that have cried about how they have been affected by what is happening in KZN and what is now spilled over to Johannesburg. In your address now, you're talking about the law, but what about the people on the ground that are being currently affected? How are you going to assist those people?
There is something called a disaster in this country, and there is a disaster fund. Once upon a time, we were hit by floods, a storm or whatsoever. The president and the ministers, the premiers came on board to say, there is a disaster, let us make a strategy to rescue the people. Once upon a time, something called COVID-19 came, and then government called us all. They took the podium, they said there is a disaster, let us devise a mechanism to rescue our people. If you say this is a disaster, why is the government silent? Because the government, specifically the president and his cabal, are the drivers of this injustice. So this is not a disaster in their perspective, as you claim it to be. If you qualify it to be a disaster, therefore we need a disaster strategic team to actually design a mechanism and a solution. We need the president to have taken caution to say, this is a disaster, let us act. We need to have the disaster fund being used to rescue the people and to support the people. But we know, because we have no law, we have him directing his mandate,
doing as he pleases. That would not happen. I'm saying we're expecting it from the wrong people. We are saying those people must be taken care of by the very same president who knows how to classify disasters. If this is then qualified to be a disaster, we need the president to send a disaster team to come up with a mechanism and solve this problem. But I can tell you a simplest one. We must free Comrade Zuma. Once he frees President Zuma, that will be a solution, just a turnaround strategy. Then we'll start re-looking at means of booming our economy, or rather trying to help those who have lost. But seemingly, the most who have lost are the white capitalists, or rather President Ramaphosa's Kapali, if he's still a president. I do not even know, but yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, perhaps it is important that we say as workers that why this thing concerns us is really because everybody in this country needs to remember that what we call freedom today that we have, we did not get it because judges and courts made the right judgments. And we stood up and we went to the street as the people of the land so that the injustices that were propelled even by the courts of law could be changed. Hence we found ourselves to what we called in 1994 the freedom. Those judges there were the same as the judges that are sitting in the Concord today. We can therefore not be racist in our view of how we view people because those judges were white and they made unjust decisions. We fought against it. Now that the black judge makes the same mistake, which is unfair, we should keep quiet. That would be racist. We cannot sit back and allow this country to fall back into racism, now propelled by us black people. So if we see injustice, it is immaterial whether it comes from a black judge or from a white judge. You see, maybe the time has come for this country to begin to ask questions whether this constitutional democracy is really the democracy that we were hoping for. Whether the democracy is driving the outcome, or the constitution, which we were never involved in crafting, is driving us all. That is a debate for another day. But we as the workers, Comeu in particular, we have got our own experience of the unfairness of the courts of the land. If you want proof, we can even give proof. Because even as we speak, we have been unjustly treated. 243 workers are sitting at home. So they probably will be participating in what is happening right now because unfair employers dismissed them and the court supported them because they have money. So there is so much an injustice in this country and it is propelled by money. And I will be bold enough to say to you and to the nation that the day that the current sitting president was allowed to buy the seat of presidency by money, everything in this country begins to work on money. And if you don't have money, you get no justice. But we cannot allow that to proceed. Even if it means trucks are going to be banned. I'm not going to ban trucks. But I am saying people of this country are fed up. And if it means this country is going to be in flames before people realize that justice is demanded by the people of the land, let it be.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
ngikhathelana nobhala ngoba seniority ithi uzobuza nobhala wapha manje sekuyaphatha ngiyangingiza ngisayine kodwa ke siyabonga siyabonga